Thank you all for coming. I just started the recording and now I am going to share my screen with you so I can show you my slides. Let me get into presenter mode here. Okay. Let me slide over here. So, ditch effort mode for good. My name is Kelli Kratt. I'm a registered dietitian and KKD Nutrition is my coaching business. I help women and men ditch diets for good. And I'm going to teach you all about what effort mode is today. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about why I'm here. So I started as a personal trainer. I went to school for exercise physiology, and there I was working as a personal trainer. And you know, Jim's appearance is very important. I began competing in figure and fitness competitions. Well, that's a severe, strict diet for a long, long time. I learned all the wrong things. Don't eat carbs, low fat, hours of cardio. This is how you're healthy. Guess what, guys? That's not healthy. There was pretty much nothing healthy about what I was doing. And going through the process myself and seeing what happens when you severely restrict diet, your body fights back. So that's what led me to go down the path of becoming a registered dietitian so that I could help people with this. So that's a little bit of my background, but we are just going to jump right in here. Maybe. Okay, there we are. So what I wanted to do was share somebody with you who went through this process so you can get an idea of what it looks like. And this is my client, Morgan. We worked together last year, and I like to tell you guys this because we could have Morgan jump on here and tell you that a year later, after we stopped working together, she's still doing fantastic. So Morgan is a wife, a mom, she's a hospice nurse. She came to me to lose the baby weight when her daughter was a couple years old. She was tired all the time, partly because she was working overnight shifts as a nurse, partly because she has a daughter who isn't sleeping. Her stress level was high. She felt uncomfortable in her body. Her clothes didn't fit, and she often ate food just to numb out and not feel things. Mom guilt. Now, if you're a mom, tell me in the chat if you experience mom guilt. And I know some dads have dad guilt too. I know it's more of a female thing, but I'm sure there's men who can relate too. So if you can relate to this, let me know. So Morgan was experiencing effort mode and in a big way. So I'm just going to walk you through her process and see how she ditched effort mode, how she was able to learn to eat and enjoy all foods, stop emotional eating, and lose weight. So at the end, I'll share how to work with me in case you're curious, but first, let's talk about effort mode. What is effort mode? There's lots of examples here. It means different things to different people, but ultimately the gist of it is when you go off plan, you eat a food or drink that you call bad. I hate that term. Bad foods, good foods. There are no bad foods or good foods, but we'll label them that way or say that's unhealthy. So anyways, you have something and it just starts a chain reaction. One cookie led to 7, one bite led to 10, that whole darn bag of chips is gone, 8 spoonfuls of peanut butter, all those things are effort mode. So for some of the ladies I've worked with, this meant they were planning on having 2 slices of pizza, and it ended up being 3/4 of the pizza. And then since they had the pizza, well, F it, screw it, let's have dessert too. And we might as well have wine because we'll start over again on Monday. And for my client, Morgan, this meant after her daughter went to bed at night, she felt relieved. Parents, I know you can relate. But then she would feel bad for feeling relieved. And then so she would eat to numb those feelings. She and many of my other clients have admitted they feel like they can't trust themselves around food. You know, there are so many emotions, good and bad, that lead to eating. And in many cases, overeating, if it's a food that you don't have that often. So how do you stop the vicious cycle? How do you stop feeling like you can't trust yourself and stop feeling guilty around food? There is a way. And this is exactly what I help my clients achieve. And Morgan is a perfect example of that. I want you guys to type in chat what your effort mode looks like. Everybody's got to screw it. I blew it. I'm doing whatever. Tell me what it is. But we're going to jump in to 3 simple steps you can take to eliminate effort mode and ditch the diets and still reach your goals. So this first step, you've got to create consistency. Consistency is everything. Make your days the same. So you want to make sure that you're eating regularly, you're staying hydrated, you're finding a way to move your body that feels good to you. None of this, I have to do HIIT cardio and I hate every minute of it. You don't have to. You can make progress, in fact, wonderful progress, with doing things that you actually like. Maybe that's walking the dog, maybe that's going to yoga, maybe that's swimming, all different kinds of things. You also need to do things in your life to relieve stress. You've got to learn stress relief. A lot of people don't manage their stress well at work, and that's an area where I see a lot of overeating. So that's something that we can work on. But, and also sleep. Sleep is key. Nutrition, physical activity or movement, stress management, and sleep are the 4 foundations of fat loss. If you are not working on all these things, it is very hard to be successful long term. And that's what this is all about, sustainability, doing something that you can do forever. You can go on another diet like I did and do it 5 times. Or you can learn to find something sustainable, build habits, and have it last forever. So that's what I'm all about, and that's what ditching effort mode is all about. So when my clients learn to create consistency in these 4 areas, they have really good success with not only weight loss and health goals, but just feeling good, more energy, more enjoyment of life, sleeping better. So for Morgan, my client that I told you about before, we had to get her eating 3 meals a day. That was the number 1 priority. Drinking plenty of water. That's something I see a lot of people not doing. And that will really mess with your hunger and fullness. You'd be amazed the difference between when you're hydrated and when you're not. So with Morgan, we also had to get her taking walks with her daughter alone for stress relief. And, you know, just with her daughter because it was good time for them to spend together and enjoy. And we also had to optimize her sleep by looking at her nighttime routine and learning for her. She had to learn how to take naps when she could. Working nights posed a special challenge for effort mode, but when you manage these 4 items, you absolutely can make it work. So this is the base, these 4 areas. Type in the chat which one of these 4 you see as your biggest challenge, because we can work through any and all of them. But this is where we always start. Now, step 2, balance out those meals. The most common mistake that women especially, but men too, are making when they come to me is they aren't eating carbs or they aren't eating enough in general. So then they add tough workouts, sometimes 2-a-day workouts. You guys are crazy. And that is the perfect combination to bring on effort mode. Your body will fight back if you don't fuel it properly by increasing your hunger and increasing your cravings. Your body has 3 different physiological mechanisms designed to fight against you dieting, against you being in a deficit. So the way to make cravings disappear is to use my balanced plate method. If you do that and you're getting just enough food, you can be successful. Undereating is never going to work because you have to eat less and less over time. So I teach my clients to use a dinner plate for each meal and visually make sure a quarter of their plate is a protein source, a quarter of their plate is a whole grain source, and half of their plate is fruit, veggies, mix of that. This can get a little more specific to each person, but it's a great starting guideline. For you as women, exactly what you say here. Men, it's actually not that different. You are going to have a little bit more protein and grain. And okay, so this says grains. I say whole grains. This means carbs. Ideally, in my ideal world, most of the time you're going to be reaching for things, carbs like potato, sweet potato, brown rice, whole wheat pasta, whole wheat bread. Pasta and bread are okay. The more the whole grains you get, the better for your health because they're filled with fiber. That helps fill you up. It moves things through your system. So we're thinking health here, and we're thinking energy. And all those plant foods, so your whole grains, fruits, and vegetables are filled with phytochemicals or plant nutrients. And that's what fights disease. It fights chronic disease. So more plant foods in your daily diet is what fights against the chronic diseases, which are cancer, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, and chronic kidney disease. So little things you can do, and I know when you're younger, sometimes it's hard to think about that health perspective, but if you start doing these things, it's going to help you overall. I always tell my clients that if you lead with health, weight loss will come if you need it. If you lead with weight loss, you are going to end up food obsessed, hungry, and tired. So that's what the balanced plate is all about, thinking about health. So my clients love the balanced plate because they find this way of eating allows them the freedom to eat what they want, but yet they have the balance. And when you're arranging your plate this way, it's going to help with sleep, weight loss, energy. Morgan found that eating this way strongly decreased her sweet tooth as well, which is fantastic. And I find the same. If I'm slacking on my fruits and veggies, I want more candy and chocolate. When I'm being balanced, I might still want it, but I want it less, and I can enjoy a little bit and move on. So balancing out your meals, getting in all the components are key. And if you want to drop me a message or in the comments, I will send you a balanced plate worksheet that goes through what all these components are and how much you need. Make it real simple. I also have a meal planning template where it has every meal, breakfast, lunch, dinner, carb, protein, fruit, veggie. Fill it in for a week and you can use it. Guaranteed success. It's super simple. So there's nothing that you can't have. It's that idea of balance. So for example, one of my clients told me that her and her husband just love to eat macaroni and cheese. But she knows when she only eats macaroni and cheese alone, she needs like at least a box for each of them, and they're still going to be hungry. So what we did was made that macaroni and cheese their grain, whole grain carb source. Now it's not a whole grain, but that's okay. Because, and then they paired it with a couple ounces of chicken, and they threw broccoli and bell pepper in it. And she said they absolutely loved it. And how good did it feel to enjoy one of their favorite foods, but yet still work towards their goals and still prioritize their health. So that's what the balanced plate is all about. And that's step 2 of ditching ethnic mode. So one more step. Ditch guilt and eating for emotions. So ditching the guilt is one of the areas that I see people struggle with the most when they enter my coaching program, and it's one of the most impactful factors in your long-term success. If you really want to ditch the diet, get rid of screw it mode, and maintain a different weight, you have to address the guilt and emotions that you pair with food. We all do to some extent, and to some extent it's normal because we're humans, but you probably know if you are an emotional eater. If your boss yells at you, hopefully your boss didn't yell at you, but you get an email that seems not so great, the candy dish. You know, there's all these little things, or that's when you go for the vending machine, or if most of us are at home now, you head for the kitchen. There is a way to work on that. First thing, don't call foods good and bad. Every food is good in moderation. That's the key. Do not restrict any foods. You can eat anything. Like I said, my client, she can have her Kraft macaroni and cheese. It's just, what are you doing with the rest of your day? It's that balance. Address stress and emotional eating. This is something that we can deep dive into if you are interested in a course on stress or emotional eating. So, and habituate foods that bring on effort mode for you. So, let me just back up and tell you about Morgan, and that'll kind of make my point here. So, going back to Morgan, she had a long list of foods that were bad and not to be eaten often. So you see what happens. If you only allow yourself to have pizza once a month, you're definitely going to overeat because you only get it once a month. Our brains understand, the restriction, and they see it that way. You are restricting yourself. So when we get it, let's go crazy. You can change that. So before I became a dietitian, pizza and wine were on my bad list, which is why it's on the bottom of this slide. So tell me in the chat, what's on your bad list? It's always interesting to hear. But so all these foods that you've considered bad, you are most likely leaving out of your diet. This actually causes cravings for these foods, kind of like I was saying before. So one of my clients said, it's like when you tell a child not to do something, they go do it. That's exactly how labeling foods as bad works. It makes you want them more. So you've got to neutralize them. And that's a mindset, and just adjusting to the fact that no foods are bad. So that's something we really worked with Morgan on. And she no longer keeps going back for more when it comes to sweets and desserts because she knows she can have them anytime. And she also takes the time when she does want them to enjoy them. So if there's brownies in the break room, what do? You grab them and stuff it in your mouth as you're heading back to work. Take 5 minutes. Take 5 minutes to enjoy it. Enjoy the taste. It will satisfy you so much more and leave you in a position where you aren't dying to have more, or that you didn't even notice you ate it. So taking your time is a huge part of this. And then as far as the habituating food, so for example, another one of my clients, we habituated pizza. Pizza was something that she had to eat the whole thing at all times. So what we did was scheduled a weekly pizza dinner. And most of the time they ordered pizza. A couple times they made it themselves. And over time, there were some big realizations. She didn't need to eat so much pizza. And not only that, on our last call, this is a woman named Marissa. Marissa said, Kelli, I don't even like pizza by itself. I need a salad with it. And I said, what? Who says that? Who says they want salad with their pizza and truly means it? Marissa does, because she's found balance. So you can see if we work on the 4 foundations: nutrition, movement, sleep, and stress. Balance out the meals, which is diving deeper into that nutrition component, and address guilt and emotional eating, stress eating. You can leave behind that mode that you go into where it's like, screw it. You can. And this is exactly what I help my clients with. So I hope this was helpful. And I want you to really think about your plates and how you can balance them, because it is one of the simplest tools that you can use to impact your health, your energy, just how you feel on a daily basis, and of course your weight as well. So if you want those food lists, you want to dive into that, contact me. You can drop me an inquiry at my website or email me or social media. I am on Instagram and I have a private Facebook community where I do lots of live video and share tips to help you guys. So hope this brief little training was useful for you. Please let me know your feedback. I'm happy to work with you on anything. And have a good night. Keep trying to enjoy quarantine and take this time to reflect and spend time with your family. If they're in the same house, spend time with yourself, all those things. Thank you guys for watching. I am going to stop sharing my screen and turn the recording off, and I will hang out here for a few minutes in case anybody has any questions. All right, you guys, thanks for coming.